WRTV 6, the Indy channel. This is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us today and for engaging us on social media on our Twitter account at Indy This Week. We start with that enormous controversy surrounding Planned Parenthood. 4 videos now released by an anti-abortion group claiming Planned Parenthood was selling the organs of aborted fetuses. An investigation ordered by Governor Pence found no violations of state law by Planned Parenthood in Indiana. That word coming out on Thursday. We caught up with the governor on Friday, who says he's pleased with the investigation.
I thought it was important for us to be able to reassure Hoosiers that the practices that are alleged in those videos are not taking place in the state of Indiana.
Now, in a statement, Planned Parenthood tells RTV6 that it reiterated that the Indiana chapter does not participate in the tissue donation program. It goes on to say perhaps now Indiana's executive leadership will focus on measures such as teen pregnancy prevention and reducing the cycle of poverty to truly advance the dream of thriving Hoosier families. Now, the issue takes center stage in Washington tomorrow as the Senate is scheduled to vote on a measure to block funding for Planned Parenthood. Our Jason Fechner right now joins us with Senator Dan Coates. Jason?
We're joined this morning by Senator Dan Coates. Senator, thanks so much for being here.
Nice to be here.
You called on the Senate floor Tuesday to defund Planned Parenthood. Why did you make that call?
I think what was produced there in terms of what Planned Parenthood is engaged in relative to this harvesting of body parts was so shocking and so unnecessary to be funded by the taxpayer when an alternative exists to provide for women's care through community health centers. There was a solution to this problem. And I just don't think it's right for the taxpayer to be having to fund something of this nature. I think it's a barbaric practice. It has shocked everyone, including even Hillary Clinton, who said it's very disturbing what is happening here. There is a solution to this, and that is providing needed medical support and health care support for women through community health centers that don't engage in abortion and don't engage in these techniques. And so the vote before us Monday, when I go back, will be transferring that taxpayer money out of Planned Parenthood into community health centers so the same procedures other than abortion can be provided to women. And I think it's a very sensible way of addressing this issue. I think I was shocked. I think everyone was shocked when we saw these practices taking place, which I think is inappropriate.
If that measure were to pass Monday, how quickly could that be put into action?
Well, as you know, we have a complicated procedure. It's got to go to the House of Representatives. The Senate will be in session next week. The House is adjourned for August. And so the earliest they could take it up is when they come back in September. But I think it sends a very important statement, if it is passed, that we're not going to tolerate this. Taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for this. And hopefully we will succeed on Monday with that. But you never know till you get there and count the votes.
Let's change gears now and talk about Iran. You are urging Congress to reject the deal that's on the table right now. Why are you urging Congress to reject that deal?
Well, the more I get into this, the more I wonder how we ever ended up with this bad deal. But just virtually every goal that was set out from the beginning, Iran cannot have the capability of moving toward a nuclear weapon. We would have inspections anytime, anywhere. There would be no secret agreements. On it goes. And we ended up with conceding just about everything that we were trying to accomplish. The consequences of this are so potentially horrendous that I think signing on to something like this, which essentially preserves Iranian infrastructure and will give them the nuclear weapon, destabilize the Middle East, be a threat to national security. And here's a country that supports terrorism. We're giving them over $100 billion. A lot of that will continue to support this kind of terrorism. In fact, they've give them credit. They went straight out and said, "Oh, we're not giving up on any of that." It loosens and releases all of the sanctions. I just think we entered into a very, very bad deal. And this, what the administration is trying to say, well, a bad deal is better than war. That is a false statement in terms of what our options could be if we didn't do this. And so, for whatever reasons, the President and his Secretary of State conceded on things that they absolutely said had to be in that agreement. And the more I plow into this, and I've literally pored over every word of this agreement, and I'm on the Intelligence Committee, so I've seen all of the classified information. I just simply can't support it.
You mentioned options if Congress were not to pass the deal that's on the table right now. What would those options be?
Well, the options have been ever ratcheting sanctions. Iran really was on its knees with its economy, and it brought them to the table. And if we send a very strong message from the 6 major countries of the world that we're going to continue these sanctions and even ratchet them up, we simply are not going to allow you to end up with an agreement that gives you nuclear weapons capability. And that was the goal of 4 previous presidents, including this president, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. It's unacceptable that we allow Iran to end up with nuclear weapons capability. This agreement is a pathway to that ability.
Senator Coates, we thank you for your time this morning. Safe travels back to Washington this week.
Thank you much. Good talking to you.
You too. Raphael?